This video is for the folks who want to leave the US. You have income or savings, but you feel like you're getting priced out of many countries because they keep raising the amount of money you need to qualify for a residency visa. Before we jump into which countries you can move to today for less than $1,500 USD, let me introduce myself because you might be new to my channel. My name is Adelia Borshade, aka Picky Girl Travels the World. I am a traveler, but I am also in the business of helping people leave the United States. I myself have been living outside of the US for the last 7 years. On this channel, I share my experiences living abroad, traveling the world, as well as financial literacy content because none of this life is free. You gotta have money and you gotta have your money right. So if any of those topics are of interest to you, I'm so glad you found the channel. Please subscribe, hit the like button, share this video with other people you think could use this information. Okay, so let's get to it. First of all, let's make sure everybody understands that when you go to another country to live there, you don't necessarily need citizenship. Residency is sufficient. When you go on vacation, you are often there on a tourist visa. A visa is what gives you permission to be inside of a country's borders. Now, a residency visa is what we're talking about today. There are many people who are bopping around the world, living their life as digital nomads, and they're doing that on tourist visas. Those are not the people I am talking to today. I'm talking to the people who want to be guaranteed entry into a country. They want to be able to stay in that country for long periods of time. And they want some of the protections that being a resident can provide, as well as some of the benefits, such as access to educational benefits and health benefits. Those are the people I'm talking to in this video. If you're thinking longer term that you might want citizenship in another country, you might actually want a couple of additional passports. Typically, you need to have residency before you can begin that process. And unless you have a lot of money, and if you did, let's be real, you wouldn't be watching this video. Unless you have a lot of money, you need to get some kind of long-term residency first before you can go to citizenship. Couple of things to consider. There are hundreds of countries in the world. Each has its own residency programs and requirements for visas. Generally speaking, when a country is willing to allow people to move there long term, they either want them to pay with money, and those are typically called golden visa programs, which we are not discussing in this video, or they want them to pay with time. And that means that there is some minimum amount of time necessary to spend in that country to maintain your residency status. Because we have to remember that countries want people to come there who are going to help the economy, not be a drain on it. Now, all of the visa programs I am going to share with you in this video do not require any kind of investment or gift to the country's government. They all require a monthly income of $1,500 USD or less. But there's a little caveat to that. If a country's income requirement is $1,500, please do not make the assumption that that is what it will cost you to live there. Cost of living and financial requirements are totally separate. I live in Mexico, which did not make this list because in order to qualify for residency in Mexico, you need nearly $4,000 in income per month. But that does not mean it's going to cost you $4,000 to live comfortably in this country. The government wants to make sure you have that much money, but that is not how much money it costs to live here. And the opposite can be true. A country could have a lower financial solvency requirement, but actually the cost of living for the life that you want is actually much higher. So we have to make sure that we keep those two things separate and we don't conflate them. So first up on the list is Argentina. Argentina has what is called a rentista or pensionado visa. Generally, rentista is a term used for people who have sustainable income. Maybe it is from collecting rents. It might be that you have a dividend-bearing portfolio, you've got a settlement, an annuity, whatever. A pensionado is somebody who is retired and on a pension. Now, you need 30,000 Argentinian pesos, which works out to be about $300 USD a month. The visa is good for a year. You can renew it, and you can get permanent residency. Actually, you can get permanent residency in 3 years, and you can get citizenship in 2. Okay? Another country that you can move to for less than $1,500 is the Dominican Republic. Now, if you are retired, you only need to show $1,500. If you are a rentista or somebody who has an independent source of income, you do need $2,000. So to stay within my $1,500 cutoff, this one would be for retired folks. The visa is for 4 years. You can renew it. The DR, you can convert. You do have the ability to become a permanent resident, as well as after you've gained permanent residency, 2 years after that, you can qualify for citizenship. Peru has a rentista visa. You need to show $1,000 USD in income. The length of the visa is indefinite. You don't have to renew it or anything. You just have the visa. If you would like to convert that over to permanent residency or citizenship, you do have the ability. But please note it, Peru is one of the countries that does require you to spend a specific amount of time within the country to maintain your status, and so is Ecuador. Ecuador is interesting because they actually probably require you to spend the most time. It's like 275 days in order to maintain your status. You need to make 3 times the minimum wage, which is about $1,350 USD. The visa is good for 2 years, which there is a path to citizenship and permanent residency. Now, if you don't mind spending 275 days in country, but maybe you don't meet this financial requirement, Ecuador does have what is called a professional visa, where there is no financial requirement. You are required to have a degree. So that might be an option for you. Indonesia, I believe this is the KITAS visa. It is intended to be a retirement visa, although there isn't necessarily language spelled out about age. You need to show $1,500 USD in income. The visa is good for 1 year. You can renew it and you can become a permanent resident, and then you can renew the residency visa repeatedly. After 5 years, you can get permanent residency. Now, it may take you between 5 and 10 years if you want citizenship, and the length of time that takes depends on how much time you spend in the country. Nicaragua has a rentista visa and a pensionado visa. Now, how much money you need to qualify Depends on which way you are qualifying. If you are a pensionado, you only need $600 a month. If you are a rentista, you need to show $750 USD a month. How long that visa is good for, kind of hard to tell. And there is a path to permanent residency and citizenship. You know, your mileage may vary, but everything I researched says there is. Okay, Portugal, another country that does have a strict requirement about how much time you spend in the country. Most people have heard of the D7 visa for Portugal. Because this video is about places you can get residency with an income of less than $1,500 USD, we are not including the D8 digital nomad visa because that requires more money. If you show 705 euros per month or a savings of about 17,000 euros, you can get a 2-year renewable visa that after 5 years, you can convert that to permanent residency. But if you are interested in becoming a citizen, you can do that in 5 years. Mauritius, an African country, has a retirement visa that does have an age minimum on it. They want you to be at least 50 years old, and if you can show that you have $1,500 of income, you can get a 10-year visa. And that visa can be renewed, and you do have the ability to get permanent residency or citizenship if that's something you're interested in. Side note, this is one of those countries that $1,500 is probably not going to be enough money to live the life that you want, because we are talking about island life where everything is imported. Travel costs to other parts of the world are going to be high. But if you want to be on the beach somewhere, that's a pretty good deal. Okay. The Philippines also has a retirement visa that is intended for people over 50. If it only requires $800 in income. Now the Philippines, if you can show that you have $800 in income or you make a capital deposit of $1,500, they give you a renewable visa. There is no path to permanent residency here, but if you spend the majority of your time in the Philippines, after 10 years, you can get citizenship. Now, Panama is a very, very popular place for people to move, particularly people who are pensionados. You see that they have a pensionado and an independent means visa. If you are a pensionado, if you are retired, and it's not specific to age, but you have a pension or you have a regular means of income from a government entity or a company, okay? It can't just be your own money. You need $1,000 to qualify. However, if you buy real estate at the same time, you only need $750 of income to qualify. The length of the visa is indefinite. There is no path to permanent residency on this visa either. Venezuela, I know is not a country on a lot of people's list, but they do have a rentista visa that only requires $1,200 of income. It is renewable. There is not a path to permanent residency here, but if you want to be a citizen of Venezuela, there is a path open to you with this visa. Uruguay is another one of the countries that does have a physical presence requirement. As far as financials, you only need $1,500. The length of the visa is just however long the visa is. It's indefinite. There is no permanent residency, but you can get citizenship. Turkey. Now, there are getting a residence permit in Turkey can be very involved. However, if you do not want to buy property, you want to apply for a short-term residency visa. It is good for up to 2 years. You know that when you apply and get approved, how long they're giving you. You only need to have $675 of income or $8,000 in savings. Now, from that, can you springboard into permanent residency or citizenship? It wasn't clear to me, so I'm not going to say that you can or you can't. I just don't know. Now, from all of these countries I've just given you, a couple of things I think are very noticeable. Latin America, if you are on a tight budget as far as qualifying for a residency visa, Latin America is going to give you the most options. And of course, you know that if I had set the amount at like $2,000, $2,500, $3,000, that would open up more of the world to you. But if you're making $1,500 a year, that's only a month, that's only $18,000 annually. And I think it's actually pretty impressive that you can move to this many countries making so little money. Keep in mind, your mileage is going to vary with this. Today's price is not tomorrow's price. Countries can do whatever they want. They can raise the financial requirements. They can decide that they don't want to offer you a pathway to permanent residency or citizenship. All of that can change. So keep that in mind. What should you watch next? I have made 2 other videos in this same vein. People who want to move abroad but don't have a whole lot of money. If you have zero money or close to zero, you definitely want to watch Too Broke to Move Abroad. If you have a skill set and you are willing to move to a country that wants to hire people with that skill set, definitely check out the video I did on how to get a job abroad. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not already, please give this video a like. If there is someone in your life who you think could benefit from this information, feel free to share this video with them.